Good afternoon. I'm going to speak to the right side of the room because clearly that side were dead. So I'm going to speak to you. My name is Pirkx. No, my name is Stella Smith, and I'm CEO and founder of Pirkx. As you can see from the slides, which I hope you look at because I did them at 1 a.m. this morning, we are a scalable health and wellbeing platform to give affordable benefits to every worker. It's a mouthful, but it tells you exactly what we do. So when I think about this, there's a couple of numbers. They don't look quite as big as I wanted them to be on the screen, but 90%, 10 million and 2.9 billion. There are about 3.2 billion workers in the world, and of those, only 10% have access to workplace wellness, leaving 90% underserved. And in the UK, that number is about 10 million to 15 million, depending on what stats you believe, in the SME micro-business space, and it's around 5 to 7 million, depending on what stats you believe, in the contingent worker, contract worker, self-employed space. Alongside that, there is a number of other things that are happening in our country. One is that healthcare has become more difficult, more exacerbated. Another is that employers are having to think very carefully about the well-being of their teams, their workforce. And in fact, in COVID, I think we all learned that well-being wasn't a wishy-washy grey word. This is a slide that I had right at the beginning of Pirkx. Same human being. So Stella, as an investment banker, got lots of lovely benefits. Stella, as the owner of some small startups with her friends and family, had nothing. So same human being, different level of support and care. So welcome Pirkx. We built Pirkx to solve that. £4.50 a month. For that, you get 24/7 access to a GP, unlimited appointments, no extra charges, 24/7 counselling, virtual gym classes, discounted gyms, money off your shopping, digital physio, 40-odd benefits and services that we deliver to you via a fully customisable app and desktop. To note there, we've got 70% engagement. That probably doesn't mean much to any of you in the room because you're not in my particular space. But the average for large employee benefits providers is around 8 to 12%. So if you give it to 100 people, only 8 to 12 people use it, which what that means, I guess, if we simplify it, is there's something good in Pirkx that 70 people out of 100 want to use. Well, thinking about it. So look, we're an existing business. We have 10,000 live users. We have a 70% engagement rate. We make about a 50% gross margin on that core subscription price, which is £3.75 plus VAT per month. And we have quarterly and annual subscriptions. We have around 500 to 600,000 pounds in revenue so far. And we've got multiple future income streams. My goal was really to try and make it profitable based on core subscription alone. But we have the ability to take retail skims, commission payments on top of that, which we've just started to introduce. Excitingly, on that screen, for anyone looking at it, we're about to go live with a large insurance brokerage that I've been working on for 18 months with my team next week. So it's taken a long time, and that's a really big deal for us because they have around 5,000 customers with about 20 to 30 staff in a first part. They have about 10,000 customers in their next part, which are smaller businesses. And when you think my number's 10,000, that's quite a big deal for me. We've also got some names that you'll recognise. British Chamber of Commerce, we have a 3-year exclusive partnership with them. Hayes, Robert Half in the space, Winvic, and some sort of big PEO outsourced recruiter firms. So we look for areas where we can find big groups of contract workers to be able to make meaningful difference as well as reach our audience directly. We had super growth in the early stage. We then went flat for 3 years. We found the funding environment very difficult for the last 3 years. And ultimately, I took a strategic decision with my board 3 or 4 months ago, which was instead, we got let down by an Australian family office. They're still saying it will happen next week, but it was supposed to happen in December. And of course, we're pre-profitable. So what we did is I decided to take our existing revenues, cut our burn to that level. And what we realized is then we can just carry on. We don't need a big strategic change to be able to hit profitability very quickly. So I cut my team, facilitated by operational efficiencies and AI. It allows us to reduce our workforce from 20 odd historically to just 6 to produce those revenues. And now we're focused on closing that round. We have 250 grand came from our shareholders very kindly about 3-4 weeks ago. And now we're raising the last 500 of our bridge round. going to die on me. It's died. So let me carry on. So look, essentially, we are an existing business, fully formed, operational. We have a scalable platform already. We don't need to do anything different to get us to profitability. We have a round that's open now. We would love to hear from investors, but those that are deploying capital now, because we hope to close it by the end of June, so we'll be quick. And we've dropped the valuation price on our company to be able to do that quickly. I guess I got fed up as a founder of trying to seek the large amounts of money that you then need to do the next bit. So I decided to take a different tack, because ultimately at Pirkx, we do a really good thing. We do doctors and counsellors for £4.50, and I want to make it a profitable, scaled business beyond where it is now. My board, now the slides have decided to work again, is insanely good. Todd Rupert sits on the board of Antler. He's the ex-CEO of investments business of T. Rowe Price. John Smith, multiple exits, alongside my day-to-day team of just 6 now that make up that money. And then to close, because I think I'm conscious of my timing on 5 minutes, that's the funding round. We have traction. We're an existing business. We work, we operate. We have experience. I think what I've learned is when I sat on the other side, your side of the fence, which I did once upon a time, that actually the experience of the growth bit means pain, and you have to be resilient through that, and that makes you make sharper decisions. So my first 250 is done, and my next 500 I'd like to do. And fundamentally, we believe that everybody, in terms of the workforce, it should be a fundamental human right that everyone gets basic access to healthcare and financial education. And I think that's what Pirkx does. So take out the money. What we do is make a difference to 10,000 odd people every day right now. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to let you know, that was a little over 5 minutes, but we're going to let you off.
Thank you very much.
What I should have done is just let everyone know, 5 minutes is up. But you've got 5 minutes Q&A, and I'll call you on time.
I can ask the first question.
Thank you.
I'd be really keen to understand how you think about the competitive landscape. Who are the other players in this space? And do you see any of them starting to encroach on, I guess, your niche that you've kind of carved out?
Yeah, of course. I think we're the most well-known in our space now in the UK. So there are probably 3 areas of competition. One is the larger players, the reward gateways, the Eden Regs, the big HCM tech players. But ultimately, we differentiate on audience. They don't want to reach down to the 20-person team. You would then, I suggest, have competition in the verticals. And what I mean by that is the HR spend that would go towards Pirkx would be, there's amazing sleep apps, stress apps, things for menopause. So that would be our competition. But of course, they become potential suppliers for us. There isn't anyone exactly doing what we do right now, which is the kind of depth and breadth that you can buy one platform as an SME or micro business and deploy it to do health and well-being alongside discounts and perks.
I'm sorry, just maybe one follow-up and then I'll shut up. I'm keen to understand how you approach go-to-market, particularly given you are going after a very kind of different client base versus the really big players. How do you approach that, and how do you make sure that that's scalable and cost-effective when you're doing it to such a large volume of clients?
So I think our initial audience came from network. So I've got a wide network. So that's where it initially came from. And we quickly learned that we wanted to get scale. So PEOs are the outsourced resource arm of contract workers. Or if you think about it, there are large organizations that will have lots of benefits in place for their existing employees. So think of a banking group, for example, but they won't have anything in place for their contractors. And the way we've built Pirkx technology, the user journeys allow for different payment methods and can be deployed to contractors as well as employees.
Do you want to go next?
I think you sort of asked this, but I still don't quite understand what your moat is. Like, why can a bigger company not come and build this, right?
Technology.
But what about your technology specifically?
Of course. So ultimately, there's about 286 user journeys in Pirkx. So it's fully customizable. So you can come in and as a company, you can press a button, color it in, and it becomes a team hub. The large players will charge a lot of money to do that, and it takes some time. Secondly, we have, it's our own SaaS database in the back end, and we built the SaaS model to work specifically for contingent workers. So we've built different payment journeys. So someone could come in and do it, but it's quite a big build. So we've probably got my best guess would be a 12, 18-month head start. Even with AI, Claude is my new best friend. even with that, I still think we've got such a chunky bit of kit to be able to do the job. That gives us a bit of a technological moat. And then funnily enough, I heard someone speak earlier today and they said, well, technological moats are old and done, given the advances. I don't know that I would concur, but there's something in that. And I think that there's a piece around the fact that we have existing distribution already. We have a head start, we have a brand, we're live and working and operational, and that gets us a long way. And then finally, even if we don't win our market entirely, it's so blooming big that there's enough room for 10 players to play in it and do very well out of it.
So I think one of my questions is, obviously the ICP, I understand it's kind of going broader and smaller micro business SMEs, but in terms of HR leaders, from what I know from corporates that I've worked with or for in my career, they always, this engagement rate figure, I'm really keen to know more about this. How do you do this, one? And then two,
Yes.
wouldn't that be the perfect figure to use to go after the HR leaders within larger businesses?
Absolutely yes to the latter question. To the first question, it's not one silver bullet answer. We think about engagement in everything we do. So whether it's the sort of, for example, when you log into Pirkx, there's a space where you get content that makes you feel more engaged. I put it in there so that it felt more engaging on our app, to be frank. But actually it gets really used. So from putting in our fillers in aim towards engagement, take it one step further and being a bit more clinical about it. In terms of our onboarding, so from the second someone's onboarded through the sales process onboarded, we think about engagement all the way. So we sell retention in before the customer has even started their journey at Pirkx. So we thought about engagement. We mapped every interaction that the customer has across the sales journey, the management journey, and the offboarding journey, and then we've mapped engagement interventions into all of that along the way. So there are many.
Cool. And follow-up question to that, how are you currently integrating AI in this as in terms of the interface? So if a person, I think what a lot of these platforms that you're competing against, the larger ones, their tech is fairly clunky. So how would you say in the future, AI-wise, how do they interact with your app?
Of course.
Just really quickly, that's the last question we've got because you're out of time. So if you don't mind finishing that,
Of
that'd be
course,
perfect.
absolutely. So we have some customization that we've built. I'd love to put a bit of AI on that. It feels AI before it is AI, but I'm sure we can make it a little bit better. I've actually used AI a bit differently as a CEO. I want operational efficiencies. We're live, we've got money. So we use AI in everything we do. When I cut the team in our reset, we replace them with AI. And so we've looked at everything we do, but particularly around tech dev. So when we're deploying, I've learned by, building user journeys, wireframes, functional specs, you don't have to do that anymore. What took you 6 months, a year to build takes you a couple of weeks, even with a big piece of tech like us. And so we're really using AI in that. Where we want to go is the personalization. So wouldn't it be cool if Pirkx could say to you, oh, have you thought about doing this today? And that's a very easy thing to deploy, but we have some other priorities before we deploy it. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm Ollie. I'm the co-founder of Wyspr, where we're building the operating system to turn brand communities into their content engine. In 2026, brands need more content than ever before. Brands don't just make products anymore. They have to operate as quasi-media companies. Instagram Reels, TikToks, paid ads, the demand for content is exploding. But consumers don't just want to see polished branded ads anymore. They want to see content from the people who love the brand the most, their community. But there is a problem. Communities are incredibly fragmented. They exist across dozens of different platforms, Facebook groups, Instagram followings, and marketers using dozens more tools to operate it. From email to DMs to schedule on board to license to negotiate with them and then ultimately deliver the posting. This isn't scalable. That's why we're building Wyspr, the all-in-one dashboard where brands can build a community and activate them. This isn't just another creator marketplace. This is the underlying infrastructure that allows brands to build a community and activate them in every single sense. Our AI workflow allows brands to automatically onboard their community from all the different locations, whether it's a checkout page, a Facebook group, or an Instagram page, and then AI will automatically create a brief, negotiate with them, schedule the post, learn, pay them, and report back. But this is where it gets really exciting. The network effects of using an infrastructure like this means with every community member you onboard, your database becomes more valuable. you're growing a bigger and bigger home for them. And with every piece of content that goes live, our AI system learns which systems, content styles, creators actually are more effective for your brand to use. This information means that consumers are no longer the target of a brand, but an active participant in the process of brand building. So why are we building this? Well, my co-founder Elliot and I have been operating as a tech-enabled agency for the last 5 years, where we're doing community-generated campaigns for some of the biggest brands in the world, including Panasonic, Unilever, Mars, and a lot more. Now, we want to bring our internal tool into the public market that allows brands big and small to generate campaigns and build a community in one place, just like we've been doing. We are not currently fundraising, but I'm really excited to meet people who see the future of advertising just like we do. We're scaling fast, growing profitably, and we want to build a future where consumers are no longer just a separate part of the process, but there is an intimate feedback loop between consumer and brand, unlocking a brand's most valuable asset, their community at scale. So remember, never shout, always whisper. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're still at 2 minutes to go, so well done. And we've got 5 minutes now of Q&A.
Can I get another round of applause for a 3-minute pitch? This is very good. Yeah. The whole story in 3 minutes.
Can I just ask the first question? What's your pricing and commercial model?
Right now, we are operating as an internal tool agency, so we price reactively as an agency. But as we bring the product to the market, we're intending to introduce SaaS subscription and usage fees for the AI functions. So you've got to consider the different types of creators because our product categorizes them. Community is a diverse select of people, so it's not just content creators like a marketplace. There's employee-generated content, which is incredibly valuable. This is a major asset as well as consumer-generated. So charging per seat, so if you can think of someone like Curry's PC World with 4,000 employees, it's a small element to add onto a monthly salary of someone considering the cost of a per seat per community member. So if we add that on, we're intending to scale not just in usage or SaaS subscription, but per seat community member that's active within someone's platform. And they're incentivized to keep that going because it's an active community member that's valuable to them.
And do you have any range in mind? So what do you plan to charge per seat? Give me some numbers.
Per seat, we're like, especially for like wider communities, we're thinking like 50p per user per month. That scales rapidly. The bigger the brand, the bigger the community, but pricing is something to be established once we introduce into the market. You know, we haven't actually got that far. We're still in, you know, the early stages, but it's something that, you know, is especially nowadays changing all the time. So we want to, especially now that we have the insight, we actively work with some of the biggest brands in the world. You know, Unilever, Mars, and Panasonic are all our partners. So right now we're in the research stage to understand exactly what they'd be willing to pay. This is not like a finger in the air, test the wind. These are our partners. We work with them actively. We have a deep relationship with them. We will understand better than anyone else exactly where the market sits.
And quick, tricky question. Have you heard of Cadbury case study about gathering their customer information? Cadbury, the chocolates?
Yeah?
Do you know the case study?
I don't know the case study.
No. Okay, you need to see it.
I need to see this.
You're very early, which is fun. My question is, as you have great access to validating your solution as an external product, does it need to be external? I mean, why are you killing your own consulting business? What's your drive?
That's a good question, because so far, what we've been essentially operating as is this tool sits internally. So they're simply an agency facing. And what we're hearing from VCs more and more is that the next, you know, big startup could just be an AI-operated agency, almost essentially what we're doing now. I think the interesting value is the communication gap between us as an agency. There still requires a human layer to communicate between the client and ourselves. That feedback of information, especially in brand campaigns, the tighter it is, the better it is. And the amount of data that's available learning from your community is so valuable, and brands need to use that as fast as possible. Content preferences change all the time with consumers. They want to have exactly that minute, that moment, understanding how they shift. This is not just a content play, but the data and the understanding. If you think about what an algorithm like TikTok essentially is, TikTok is literally a mass survey algorithm. You post a video, it understands exactly how many people retain on that video. So the amount of data we get back from the campaigns we're running now is super valuable as well. But there's a communication delay lag. We might make 2 videos within the community, one with the blue version of the product way and one with the red. And we see that the blue one outperforms at 10x simply just from that one change. If we can tighten that gap between information and deployment for the brand, then they are set to succeed. And ultimately, it's customer first.
Cool. I think for me, I have so many questions, but we don't have time for those, especially on the tech side and how you scrape content and all of these things and how you do all of these things. I don't think we want to go into that level of detail. I think my main thing is the go-to-market. We kind of touched on different ICPs here, right? So the brands you're currently working with, it's very much consumers, consumer products, CPG, which is great because there's a lot of content out there. They want to engage with those consumers and they have a lot of money, essentially. The Cadbury case study, I used to work with Mondelez. I should have known this. I don't know it. I'm going to look it up as well. That is a good ICP, but then equally the ICP that would you focus on working with B2B startups because they also want to leverage their community, right? Community of experts and within the business that they work with. I think employee-generated content, no one, as an employee working for a corporate, no one wants to go on LinkedIn and produce anything for their company. So I wouldn't focus on that one. But have you thought about this one, the B2B side?
Yeah, content is ubiquitous. Everyone needs it. Now, we have a specific expertise and relationship with consumer brands, but that doesn't mean that it's not available for others. We have worked with a lot of software before, which are desperate for more authentic content, especially to scale their paid ads. We do have a relationship with Adobe and more smaller brands as well. It's simply anyone who requires a community around them to scale it up is available for this. It's specifically CPG first because that's where our expertise is and they have the strongest and highest demand. But that doesn't mean that this isn't available for any brand where their fundamental scaling issue in content is their community. It's available everywhere.
Cool. That's
Thank
time,
you.
my friend. Please give him a round of applause. Wyspr.
My name is Damir, and I'm coming from Austria, where we developed this really unique idea called Autozon. I'm really happy to be here to present. So most of you know about the Amazon, and I'm sure some of you know about the Tinder, no judgment. And think about the Autozon, a baby between the Amazon and the Tinder, okay? And that baby grew up to sell the cars. That would be us. It's a B2B to C marketplace, but a lot more than a marketplace. It's easier to understand if I say a marketplace. It's actually end-to-end transactional engine for selling cars. Now, some of the problems that we are solving with the platform, basically, I'll mention one of the biggest one, which is it takes 69 days to sell a car, okay, on the market in Europe these days. Listings sit, sellers lose margin, buyers scroll endlessly through the noise. The whole industry is waiting. They call it normal, we call it broken. The solution, we cut it to 10 days. Now, we developed a really cool, I call it black box algorithm through AI, in which we basically, instead of waiting for the buyers to come, we go out and find the buyers, okay? So we scrape, we search, we listen, and at the same time, we have our own user base, which we essentially match with the perfect product they're looking for. Our algorithm works on a matching system, and essentially what it does, it puts the two and two together, matching the buyer with the actual product they're looking for. Through a series of different questions, we find out, about the personality, about the lifestyle, and about the ego, how many kids, about the box, the whole thing, and we essentially match the product with the buyer. Now, on the seller side, we enabled an AI, the black box enables the seller to upload the documents and the photos of the vehicle, and essentially, with an advanced vision technology, gives the seller the real value of the vehicle. Right now, if you go to a dealership, they will probably lowball you, undercut you on the pricing. What we do is we save your margin. We make sure that you earn the most for the asset that you're selling, And through the process, we create a transparency that the industry hasn't provided so far. So we exactly let you know what works against and what works for the product you're selling, giving the full transparency to the buyer and the seller at the same time. Seller gets the minimum, the maximum value, hassle-free, through a hassle-free process. Now, 3 years ago, this deck would probably be a science fiction. But now, obviously, with the improvements of the AI technology, the maturity, we're able to bring the vision technology to a degree that actually can maximize the value of the asset being sold. The European Union is, in general, digitizing every aspect of our lives. And the buyer in a post-pandemic era is really shifting to online buying, digital experiences, and really is not being ready to spend Saturdays looking for the cars at the dealership. The business model. Now, we earn so we win when you win, essentially. So we take a commission on a completed end-to-end transaction. Plus, we have a really cool business model where we also layer in the earnings from the dealers, integration with financing, with insurance, logistics, even the mechanic shops that integrate with us. So, at the end, I hope I'm still within the time limit. At the end, join us in really revolutionizing how we buy and sell used car in Europe. The market is 300 billion annually in size. Only 1% of those cars hit a digital platform one way or another. So for us, that's not a market, that's an invitation. I think I've heard through the panels, somebody's asking, what is the past experience? I think the past experience has been all the past in which the markets tried to come up with the ways to solve these problems, and for us, that's a baseline. So we are starting from the point where everybody else came to this point, and I think now we are taking over and trying to do something else, something better, something faster for this type of the industry. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That was just 40 seconds over, so quite good. I'm going to put a timer on for 5 minutes for you guys.
I have a lot of questions. Again, a lot of questions, and I will stick to one. First of all, is there anyone from Plug and Play in the audience? No? They have a mass Plug and Play. Look, you know the VC Plug and Play?
Plug and Play?
Plug and Play, yeah. So they're VC and they have a massive automotive kind of segment.
Okay.
So I would definitely hit them up. They always go to...
Remember this. I will remember this.
They always go to Italian Tech Week and they tour around the Ferrari factory and everything as well. I think one of the things for me, so two of my best friends are Turkish. You said Demir.
Damir. I'm originally Bosnian with the Canadian passport, living in Austria, presenting in UK. Yeah.
Cool. Although, so for me, and then Bosnians are the same as Turks. They love their cars, right? So especially finding the cars. So for me, how do you make sure? So because it's a very complex thing to do, you need to attract buyers and sellers, right? So there's a B2C. Where do you find your buyers? And then also the sellers need to find your platform. Have you thought about this? How is your
absolutely. So we already we are live. So we already have traction. Okay. For us, just to kind of intro you to your question to answer for us. Finding the funds for the marketing is the main challenge because the marketing is actually for us, right? And the buyers and the sellers predominantly come from the typical sources. So sellers or let's say the cars come from the dealers, right? And the buyers, we just go out and we find them everywhere. Really, the whole market is our playground. The actual flywheel of the whole concept is acquisition of data, right? So you bring in as many buyers as you can, the sellers will follow, you've got marketing, you've got all the other layers of revenue, right? Which is an additional incentive for them to join the platform, and then at the end you have this data that's priceless, right? And just think about the levels of data, the layers of data that we acquire through the process of working with, again, for the whole platform to work in a lifestyle matching way, we collect a lot of data.
Cool, thank you.
The auto classifieds businesses in this space have attracted a huge amount of capital in recent years, and I think the investment thesis that most people have had is that it's impossible to unseat them given how big they've got. How do you think about that, and what is it about this business that you think can win?
That's a great question, and probably the question we kept thinking about since the very beginning, right? But I really firmly believe that we distinguish ourselves by trying and hopefully succeeding to fully understand what the buyer wants, but also what the seller is looking to do, right? One of the biggest challenges in the car marketplace, used car marketplace, is the depreciation. And depreciation is really an engineered concept, okay? Honestly, we are trying to disrupt that. We are trying to kill the depreciation concept by allowing the sellers to keep the maximum of what they're selling, right? So we have, and this is only one of the, let's say, steps ahead from the traditional car marketplaces. We have several of them, you know, beside the whole matching concept. One thing that the platform does is the full, you know, buying, selling process, end-to-end transaction. We basically digitize the whole thing. So you really just have to go and pick up the keys from the seller. The whole thing is digitized to save you time, to save you money, to save you hassle, to provide transparency, to make you feel good about your purchase, which traditional marketplaces are just a bunch of ads. That's basically it.
And then just one follow-up, how does the pricing to sell, for a dealer to sell a car on your platform versus Mobile, for example, compare? Because I know you do a take rate. They obviously charge a listing fee on an absolute basis, which is more expensive.
Yeah, so they are way more expensive. On the listing fee, in average, they're way more expensive. The average used car is less than 10,000 euros. We take, like I said, we cap at 499. So we take 2.5%, which on a 10,000 is, you know, a couple $100. But don't forget that we save seller huge margin, right? Which they would lose if they went to a dealer, right? So they would lose at an average 20 to 30%. They just lowball you. They don't care, right? We don't do that, right? We obviously save you this margin. So for us, this is one of the most important aspects. And I believe that's what's going to make a big difference for the sellers.
How many users do you have, or customers, I guess? Can you throw numbers in there?
We just started January 1st, 2026. We have about 100 customers, but like I said, zero marketing. We haven't done anything. We basically did focus groups. We did friendly dealerships. We did friendly customers, and then there was, you know, some few. But like I said, we just began.
And sorry, one follow-up. I get the sense of what I'm going to ask you from the mechanic shops and everything else, but how are you thinking about lifetime value here?
Okay, so I will just add something that I didn't mention to the slides, and that is that beside the AI black box, which is basically the algorithm that works with the sellers and the buyers, we also integrated with several outside platforms which provide additional data. So our formula for calculating all of this is 60% facts based on the pictures, registration card data, etc., and the 40% for the outside real market sources. Okay, so that's really how we hit the precision accuracy, and and what will ultimately drive the lifetime. And also I should mention this, that once the two people complete the transaction, for them to convert this transaction into another transaction after a week or 10 days or a month is a click of a button, which again is something that no other marketplace does. So we are really thinking about the lifetime relationship with both sides.
Thank you. I'm going to have to cut you there. Can you please give this
Thank you.
massive round of applause? Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. So my name is Darren Andrews. I'm from
To hold the
NanoFormiX.
mic a bit more towards your, yes, sorry.
Is it not my, okay.
That's better.
Great. I'm Darren Andrews. I'm from NanoFormiX, the CEO of a business that is a life science tools business. I apologize, I'm going to have to talk a little bit about science and technology, but I'll try and minimize it. So we make tools that make RNA therapy development easier, faster, and cheaper, and allow formulators in pharma to scale these new products to market faster and much more efficiently. So until COVID happened, I don't think anybody had ever really heard of RNA LNP therapies. Pfizer-BioNTech product, for example, is an RNA LNP. Since then, it has become the fastest class of clinically validated therapies in the world in terms of growth, 20% year on year, nearly, across 17 therapy areas, 1,300 therapies, huge growth. And because, if you remember, the thing about COVID was it turned the vaccine round from nothing to in the market in a very short period of time, is the perfect fit for personalized cancer vaccines. So individual batches tailored to individual people. This is a unique kind of therapy. RNA, if you inject it, will just get excreted straight out of your body. So you got to put it in a little fatty ball called a lipid nanoparticle. Okay, so thing one. And doing that turns out to be a problem that people haven't really solved very well because it's only been a few years since COVID and tools haven't really caught up. You can't really see this, but these are the kind of products that are on the market at the moment. What they are and what they look like is mostly a problem in plumbing. So if you want to make a sample, you've got to put pipes and tubes together. You make one thing, strip them all down, put more pipes and things in again. This is the market leader. Nearly 43% of formulations at the lowest level go into waste. When your raw materials cost tens of thousands of dollars per gram, that's not good. And you can make one sample every maybe 10 minutes. What we do is we take all of this complex liquid handling and we boil it down into a single microfluidic cartridge. This will do 8 formulations in parallel in 20 seconds, better than this will with no waste. So it's really transformational in terms of the things that we can do with for formulators and developers in terms of speed and cost. We have a product already in the market, sorry, not in the market, launched in July. It will be launched in July. This is funded entirely by grant money. 1.3 million euros went into doing this. It's in late stage testing at the moment with a program of 10 users, 80% margin on the product, 80% margin on the consumables. Once you bought an instrument, 5 years of revenue is around about 180,000 euros because of the consumables. We'll sell you a different size of consumable depending on whether you're in development or you're injecting it into mice or doing whatever you need to do later stage. Super simple. We can make 100 samples in an hour easily with very little effort, no cleanup. Really fantastic for CDMOs. CDMOs love this. Product number 1, we're ready to launch that on the market. We do need money to do that. Similar technologies, we've got the next stage formulation, and then this is a small scale, clinical scale batch, scale up consumable device that we're developing at the moment based on this for the personalized cancer vaccine market. That market is predicted to be about $1.5 billion by the end of the decade, 50% CAGR. At the moment, it takes over a day to make one batch. So one of our trial partners has 8 clean rooms. They can make one batch in each of the clean rooms every day. They have to strip it down, build it back up again. We can take one of our consumable cartridges, put it in one machine, and in 30 minutes, we get a formulation out, take that out, put the next patient's dose in. If you have 1,000 patients, we make 1,000 batches. Every one of those costs the company 250 euros. That comes to us. 5 years, we get $750,000 per instrument install. So we're basically a razors and blades business. We sell you the instrument and we sell you the consumables and we make the money on the consumables by, this is really messed up on all the formatting. By the time you get to year 3, about half of the revenue comes from consumables, really leverages based on that. We sell into biopharma right the way through to CDMOs. CDMOs are a really great fit for us because they need speed, they need throughput, they need consistency, and that's what we give you with the consumables. I founded a company called Cobalt in the early 2000s that we sold to Agilent. It was an instrument life science tools business. We also ended up in, for various reasons, airport security and other things. Just been selling the last 5 years products and developing products into this market, different kind of products. My co-founders here developed the technology based in Dublin. Some of these guys here have got lots of experience in the market. We've just got Professor Yvonne Perry, MB, on our advisory board. She is one of the big hitters in this industry. She's going to help us develop the next generation of products. You can't read this, but we need money to launch the product, grow it, develop the next two products, get those into the market before a Series A, where we can scale the business from there. So we're looking for seed investment. We've got nothing on the cap table at the moment. No need to take any equity investment, so we need some money to get going, build the tools that scale the RNA therapy development market. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Bang on 5 minutes.
Just first question, how much are you looking for in seed round?
2.5 million.
You mentioned you have 1.3 million grants from where?
So the technology came out of Dublin University, and so it turns out the Irish ecosystem is phenomenal at giving people free money, much better than the UK.
And do you have patents?
There's patents on, so this is a microfluidic chip on the back end. So we've got patents on the microfluidics. The microfluidics enable the size reduction and the ability to do this in small scale without any waste. And then we've got some technology on the how you control the flow and on the cartridge system itself.
And who is owning the patents? Is it the university?
So it's the
company?
UCD, so we get a license from them.
Okay.
How much are they taking from your cap table?
15%.
And is there a plan for those to be sellable at a later raise round at all?
Sorry.
So some TTOs, tech transfer offices, who do the strategy behind the percentage of equity that's taken for the IP, they will come to the table negotiating a sell-off date at a certain round so that you can gain back your equity and be able to continue raising much larger rounds such that you can have a much more successful exit. Just wondering if that's been a conversation.
No, that's not been in. They don't mind being diluted as well, so it's 15%, and that's it, straight equity.
I have a question. You might have to excuse me for my ignorance in this space. But can you tell us a little bit about distribution and the customer base? Is the customer base very concentrated, or is it, yeah?
Actually, I'll mention one other thing. This is entirely entire manufacturing and supply chain. So we order these from China. One of the co-founders is Chinese. That really helps. So we just order these. They arrive a month later, fully built. So that's already done. In terms of the market, so actually most of the market is in North America. Most of it's in Boston. I've just spent the last couple of years Ubering around Boston. Really easy to find people to talk to. So that's a great concentration. There is other stuff in the US, but really Massachusetts is the main focus. Europe has a good focus. And actually, the dark horse in the pharma world is China. I don't think people have realized how quickly China is catching up with the world in terms of therapy development. And so one of the co-founders being Chinese, we're going to look at that market as well. We've got our first CDMO trial in Suzhou, which we're hoping to kick off in September. So that gives us a good in into Boston for North America, and Europe is quite easy as well, but we can also look at China too.
Do you know Parallel Fluidics in Boston? If not, come find me later.
I do. They've only just sort of got going. A bit smaller scale. Okay, yeah, small scale. They might have bigger ambitions, I don't know.
Again, excuse me for making this, also not an expert in this space, but what would prevent you from getting more grants to do that first? Obviously, the grants would be a good route.
I mean, that's absolutely on the cards. I mean, actually, the Irish ecosystem is phenomenal for that. DTIF grants are like European grants, but where you've actually got a chance of winning some money rather than, crapshoot, literally 1 in 20 chance. So, yeah, we can, there's nothing excluding that. And actually, the personalized cancer vaccine area is one that we're looking at the moment. There is a bit of a time imperative here. I think that particularly that market, because it's very early stages, but it's moving very, very quickly. And so a lot of people are looking around and saying, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to deliver it? There's a number of headaches to solve. Manufacturing is one, regulations and other things are in there as well. And my belief is that the people that are in there at the beginning with a good solution are likely to be the ones that profit from that as everyone's kind of piecing together. Just like in the monoclonal antibody market, when that kicked off in the early 2000s, there's a lot of scramble about how we're going to do this. And the market has basically ended up a single use, which is where we do the single use kind of thing as well, as being really, the optimum way of doing it. We can get in there with a product I think will hit what people want it to do pretty quickly in the early days.
What's your biggest red flag?
30 seconds.
What's your biggest red flag?
Biggest red flag? You mean in terms of
Why will you fail?
why will we fail? I think actually one of the biggest ones is not getting going quickly. I mean, this is a technology. I've only been involved with this company for about almost a year, but it's been in development for 5 years. If this had been in the market 3 years ago, it would have had a much easier ride for the first product. However, I think the two products that we're looking at now have a much better niche in terms of its the virgin territory. But the formulation product is a really great beachhead way into that. I think particularly that parallelization of the formulation of the cartridges, it just makes it so easy. I mean, you literally just put it in, 20 seconds later, you take it out, someone else puts in another 20. I mean, it's another formulation, you get 20 seconds later, you get the result out. So we need to get going quickly. That's the biggest issue.
Sorry, out of curiosity, were you there last week on the London Lab Live or something?
Oh yeah, I heard about that the day before it happened, so I didn't go to that one.
Thanks.
Thank you. Please give these guys a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Killian Coyne, and I'm the founder and CEO of FuelQ. We are reinventing how fleets pay for everything from fuel to EV charging to vehicle and business expenses. My goal this afternoon is quite simple. I'm looking for somebody in this room to hopefully cut me a check so we can close our £1.5 million seed round. How am I going to do that? Well, let me explain why you should invest in us. This is a fuel card. It is a £20 billion a year industry in the UK currently, where businesses pay for discounted fuel up to 10%, and the fuel card providers make about 3% margin on every transaction. It is outdated, and it will soon be completely extinct. And that is for the reason that it has a limited use case. You can only pay for fuel on this card. That, coupled with the fact that there is another 25 billion that UK fleets spend on EV charging, invoicing and servicing costs, as well as the very fragmented sector of employee expenses for vehicles and drivers. Our solution is this: one card for every mobility payment, fuel at wholesale rates, EV charging at every single EV charger in the UK, mobility spending across vehicle expenses, driver expenses, and everything else. One platform, one bill, one unified solution that allows fleets to save time and money. How do we make money? We still make 3% on every transaction from fuel. We make money on every single transaction from the open loop, so every other type of transaction. And we also charge card fees and monthly service fees. Who are we? We're a live and revenue-generating business today. We went live in December. We have, as of today, I just checked, 150 live customers on the platform. We're very fortunate to have the best UX in the sector. We also have a number of strategic partners that are now signed: Halfords, Motorsport UK, Pitstop. These are UK-recognized brands who are ready to utilize our solution. That's 1.5 billion in addressable spend across that network for us to attack when we go live. The icing on the cake? Visa came to us. We're now a Visa 2.0 partner. Their global head of mobility in December reached out to us on LinkedIn to congratulate us on the launch of our product. And since then, we have been in discussion and now signed a 5-year partnership with £1.7 million worth of incentive to support the next 5 years of growth and launch. This isn't just Visa on our card. This is Visa sitting in our boardroom to support our growth and help us scale beyond the UK. Why now? Quite simply, we are obviously live and transacting as of today. We have a launch day in November at the business show in London at the Excel, where we will not only have an exhibition stand, but Visa will be supporting us as part of a talk. We then go live with open loop transactions in Q1 of 2027. Therefore, this isn't a case that you are investing in a vision. You are investing in a business that is already on the road to success. The numbers. Ultimately, the most important thing when it comes to investment. As I say, we're raising 1.5 million at 5 million pre-money valuation. We will look to achieve just under $500 million GTV in less than 5 years, with a 14.4 million EBITDA. These numbers have been pressure tested against the industry and the sector. They've been worked with Visa on, so we understand what the size of the market is. And also, this represents less than 2% market penetration. I close by saying thank you very much for listening, and I hope some of you in this room will help build the future together with me. Thank you.
That was just under 5 minutes. Well done. You got another 5 minutes of Q&A.
I can start. I'd love to understand how you negotiate the fuel rates and how you can compete with some of the kind of entrenched players at such an early stage.
Yeah, of course. So we actually have wholesale relationships with the majors. So we already have those relationships in place. So we buy wholesale fuel on a weekly basis and then bill it to our customers, obviously at a discount to the pump with a margin within that.
How are you thinking about your exit strategy?
Quite simply, it would be most likely an M&A to one of the big payment companies. Visa themselves have stated they obviously have the venture division, which at scale would look to potentially, even if it's not a full buyout, would be obviously a potential partnership strategy. There is obviously other payment providers which would, again, look at us or a large global mobility provider.
Would you see any, obviously Visa and MasterCard, they go at a different places, right? MasterCard would have come to you, but they do more other stuff. And fintech specifically, especially in the UK, is so strong. And would you see any larger fintech player going kind of and enter your space?
Yeah, I think our moat is twofold. One, mobility and what we would deliver from a platform point of view. So actually isolating cost centers, understanding from a vehicle and a driver cost point, giving that data and visibility to a fleet is hugely valuable. And what a banking provider, even like Revolut, wouldn't be able to, or wouldn't necessarily want to drill down into a data point. Also, the fact that we have wholesale fuel, therefore that is a moat in the sense of a discount of up to 10% at the pump, as well as all this infrastructure, gives us a huge angle of defensibility and well into the future. The other thing I would probably point out is, yes, there are major players in the UK, as you say. However, because of the legacy nature of them, they are bolting on a lot of these products. They are not coming from a fintech perspective and driving it from a UX customer-centric position to start with.
Is it only UK proposition for the time being, and do you have plans to expand?
Plans will be Europe and then North America, most definitely. Visa themselves have already said that probably in 24 to 36 months, we would look at Europe. We have some potential opportunities with Renault Group already in the pipeline. And then Visa themselves have said we would be a plug and play into North America. While they have partners that they work with out there that have this solution due to the size and scale of the demographic out there, there's another market. And of course, Visa is a globally recognized payment solution. Therefore, there is nothing not allowing us to move into other sectors.
Okay, I think 2 to 3 years for Europe is a little bit slow, but that's my opinion.
No, thank you.
Have a look at Revolut and Bocconi University. There is a future of banking in general report. It's quite interesting. And
I will do. Thank you. Any other questions?
Got 2 minutes left if you need questions. Are we good?
I think I want to ask the same question you did to the last picture. You know, what's your biggest red flag? Well, how would you feel?
We're bootstrapped to date. I'm fortunate that I'm a previously exited founder. I know the pitfalls of founding a business and what it means. I certainly will not fail. And that's not just an egotistical statement. It's the fact that we already have a proven business model. We have the Visa support. We know where we're going to go. I think the question really is how fast can we scale and how fast can we dominate the market?
Time to market.
Relatedly, competitors?
Yes, there is one in Europe called Ampere, who is part of Mint. You may have come across the financial fintech Mint. And then in the US, there are two Visa-backed businesses, which is Circle K and Coast. However, in the UK, currently, we're actually the first partner to become Visa 2.0 certified on their fleet program.
Did you fail with your last venture?
No, I exited.
Well, else I would have sent you to fuck up nights, which was really good. Yeah.
Are we done with questions? Sorry? We done with questions? Okay, that was FuelQ. If we give them a massive
Thank
round
you
of
very
applause.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, judges.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, there's a bit of an issue with the formatting, as it seems, but my name is Rayan. I'm one of the co-founders of Demeter Bio, and this is a bit of a tongue twister, but we're freeing fabrics from forever chemicals. A couple of weeks ago, I came across an article in the BBC where MPs were calling for a ban of forever chemicals, also known as PFAS, in school uniforms. That's because these toxic chemicals are widely used across the textile supply chain. They're used to create the sort of water and stain repellency that we desire in products like performance and outdoor apparel, workwear and medical textiles, school uniforms, and even our furniture. However, these chemicals are incredibly damaging. They're responsible for over 50 billion pounds of damages every year across Europe alone. They've made their way to the water that we drink, the food that we eat, and they're now even in all of our bloodstreams. And that's why the companies like 3M, Dow, that have introduced them in the first place are facing billions of dollars in lawsuits, and several countries have started to ban the use of these forever chemicals across textiles. So that's why we developed our product, AguaShield. AguaShield is a bio-based coating, which is ideal for textile and packaging applications to create that sort of high water repellency. When applied on materials, it's a clear colored coat with a high water contact angle. And more importantly, it can repel tougher liquids like oils and alcohols, which is incredibly important in the technical textile industry. And it's commonly referred to as the missing unicorn and the missing piece in a PFAS-free reality. The way it's made is pretty straightforward. We start off with a biopolymer, which is a result of a food waste, so it's a very sustainable material. We engineer the behavior of this biopolymer to create these sort of micro surface ridges. This is based on biomimicry, so we looked at the lotus leaf and its ability to repel liquids, and we did some mimicry to create our hydrophobic coating with the same properties. Our results have gained the attention of some of the largest players in the industry. We're currently working with the manufacturers behind some of your favorite brands like Barbour, Helly Hansen, Procter & Gamble, and even workwear companies like Havip. So we're conducting trials on their materials with our coating to achieve that repellency that they desire. We're starting off with the textile market as a beachhead market because it's very relevant and it's sized at over 2 billion as a serviceable market size. In order to achieve our roadmap, we're going to focus this year on R&D, product formulation, and filing of our intellectual property so that we can go to market next year in order to service offtake agreements through a pilot plant and through further scaling with contract manufacturers. We'll work with contract manufacturers so that by 2029, we aim to produce 300 tons a month of our material to deliver on the requirement of 15,000 tons a year. This will translate into a revenue of 14 million pounds by 2029. So it's very much a supply-driven issue at the moment rather than a demand one. We're both a team of entrepreneurs and scientists. My background is in entrepreneurship. This is actually my third company. And my co-founder, who's also with us today, Adelia, has a PhD in biotechnology. She's written 6 patents and published over 10 articles on the subject matter. And we have our senior scientist, Emmanuel, who also has a PhD in materials and engineering. We're also supported by a lot of advisors. In terms of development, we're currently at the technology readiness level of 6, having produced over 100 liters of our bio-based coating with our scale-up partners. And we recently closed a pre-seed round. Later in the year, we'll be raising a seed round targeting 3 million pound raise So we're open to sort of early introductions at this stage for anyone that's interested. So if you want to help us achieve performance without persistence, please do reach out. These are my contact details. Thank you.
Beautifully timed. You still have a whole 18 seconds to go. So yeah, over to the.
I'll apologize for the format.
Yeah, I mean, that's a computer thing. That's not in you. Okay, we've got 5 minutes.
I could have so many questions, but I'll try to restrain myself. Can you talk a bit about the other uses of your foundational technology?
So in terms of the coating itself, it could be not only applied on textiles, but you could explore other substrates, packaging being one of them. So one of the issues with trying to achieve, for example, a microplastic-free reality is how do you create sandwich linings that repel grease, right? So that so that it doesn't wet the carton. So this is another use case that we can explore, but obviously requires a lot more scale and at a lower price. Textiles sell more at a premium, so which is why we're starting there. And then even if you look more into industrial coatings, things like automotive coatings where the surfaces also need to be stain repellent. These are different areas where the core technology can be useful. We just have to reformulate the base product in order to apply it on steel or plastic or aluminum and those different substrates.
For me, I just have a question around how you're planning to commercialize this product. Is it that you would actually create just the coating that you sell, or are you going to create the end products? And how should we think about future gross margins?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of our go-to-market strategy, we want to sell the coating because a lot of the companies we work with, they take pride in the textile that they produce because maybe they weave it in a certain way or they use certain materials. So we want to be sort of base agnostic, and they would have to work with us to buy only the coating. This gives us a lot more room to play in different avenues. And sorry, the second part of the question was?
How do you think about gross margin on selling
Oh,
that?
yes. Gross margin, in terms of gross margin, we could actually sell our coating at just pilot scale. So as soon as we commercialize for 18 euros a kilogram, which is on par with what they currently sell for, which is between 17 to 25 euros per kilogram. And that's at a gross margin of 40%. So very quickly, we can compete with incumbents in terms of price and performance.
I think for me, so I followed the journey of Notpla. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but seaweed-based packaging.
Yeah.
They've had, I love this stuff, right? For me, it's impactful innovation. It improves our planet. But it's a hard game to play, especially with the bigger customers that will be your customers. How would you make sure that they adopt this and then increase in scale? Because what I've seen with Notpla is they've worked together with big partners, but the actual adoption, internal adoption even, is quite low.
Definitely. I can't speak to what Notpla is facing. I'm not familiar with that issue. With regards to this problem, currently what manufacturers are having to use are acrylic and silicone-based coatings. These are based on microplastics, essentially, so they're not even bio-based. The problem with these coatings is that they really struggle when it comes to oil and alcohol repellency. And that's really our USP. So we're currently working, for example, with a chemical company who wants to introduce our coating in medical textiles because hospitals and medical centers require repellency to fluids, bodily fluids, sweat, oils, alcohols, which their current products are failing at. And so what we're producing is a direct response to that need at the same price. So we're pretty confident that once they want to adopt it, they would want to adopt it in large volumes.
One follow-up. Have you seen graphene composites? Because they might be a competitor in this space and they're kind of growing. They've been in the market for a couple of years as well.
I've probably looked into them, but I'm not sure if they're in the same space.
They're not in the same space necessarily. They have a big defense segment, but they have found a sort of similar. So I'm not sure if patent-wise it's similar, but it's worth having a look into. It's just a note, basically.
Yeah, no, graphene composites.
Graphene composite.
I'll look into them. Thanks.
Relatedly, why don't you guys have patents filed yet?
We're currently writing the patents. We're just collecting a lot of data points, which require testing through network of universities because we don't have a lot of this equipment in-house. And so we need to obtain those data points in order to file a comprehensive patent. We don't want to rush into it in a way where it's going to be, where we say we file a patent, but then it gets judged aggressively. We'd rather do it right from the get-go.
I know, if I may, what are the raw materials for your product?
That's a trade secret, so we can't disclose it, but mainly working with bio-based materials that we make sure can biodegrade under composting conditions.
Okay, that is time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
That was Demeter Bio.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Mohammed Gawish. Back at university days, I was participating in a lot of coding and robotics competitions, and I won a lot. So I traveled a lot. So I traveled to the US, to China, to Malaysia, and in these global competitions, me and my co-founders, we won as well. Then one time we traveled to Japan, to Tokyo, and we lost. To whom? To 8-year-old students. So it was a shocking moment for me and sparked inside me think to teach coding and AI for K-12 students. And actually, this is not the only reason. The other reason is the World Economic Forum publishing every year the jobs landscape, and it's changing very fast and indicating the top 10 emerging jobs that will be needed all over the world, such as machine learning, data science, cybersecurity, and also indicating the top 10 declining jobs that will be replaced because of the AI. And we are seeing this happening, not future anymore. Back in MENA region, we have more than 100 million students from 6 to 18 years old that don't have access to technology education curriculums or programs. And this is actually massive underserved market, and we solved this problem with our solution. I don't know what is formatting. With our solution, we created an AI education platform for K-12 students to learn and create career in tech through live gamified classes. And we did this by creating our own curriculum. We built a full-fledged curriculum for K-12 students to learn cybersecurity, AI, data science, machine learning, and replace the legacy IT curriculum that only teach students how to write in emails. And this curriculum is international accredited from STEM.org from the US, from IADL from the US as well, from Finland Education Quality, from KidSafe, and it's available in Arabic and English. And we are operating this curriculum using our own operating system. It's a full-fledged technology that we build for tutors, students, parents, and school admins. And since our launching, we have more than 130,000 graduates. We delivered more than 10 million hours of coding, and we work with more than 7,100 tutors, and we have more than 4.5 million social media followers. Because of this, and because of AI is becoming more hot topic, we have been growing organically with more than 20 different countries subscribing to iSchool platform. And we have a 3 revenue engine for 3 different buyers, but same core beneficiary. It's students, but you can buy iSchool as a parent, you can buy iSchool as an integrated system in the academic calendar in schools, and you can buy iSchool as a government, which became very big chunk in our business. So last year we generated 7.1 million USD in revenues, and this year we are generating 14.5 million USD in revenues, and by 2029 we'll be generating 50 million USD in revenues. And the good news is 50% of these revenues are not only forecasted, it's contracted. So for example, we have a very big contract in Egypt with the Ministry of Communication, teaching more than 1 million students AI and coding for more than 6 years. And this is a 69 million USD contract. We already collected 10.9 million USD from this contract for the past academic plan. And for this academic plan, which is 2026-2027, we are going to teach 450,000 students and generate 17.9 million for the academic plan. So in the global market, it's almost blue ocean. There is not a lot of players doing AI education for K-12 students. The only competitors are in the US or India, and our Indian competitor offered acquisition for us till now, and we are still holding up. We have more than 24 schools network already subscribed for iSchool. We have a lot of strategic partners and the government in the pipeline. We have the Ministry of Education in the UAE, Ministry of Education in Qatar, Ministry of Education in Saudi Arabia, because what we did in Egypt was massive. And actually people are recognized we need to mandate AI as a core subject in schools. And we have been featured in more than 150 plus media press. And we have won several global recognition in impact and education. And we have been selected as 30 under 30 Forbes entrepreneurs and also global endeavor entrepreneurs. And I don't want to brag, but I'm most followed entrepreneur in the Middle East and Africa. I have more than 5 million followers and more than 2 billion views every month. We are three co-founders with more than 11 years of experience in EdTech, and we are very proud that our tutors is more than 70% female, and we have a very strong board of members from Ireland, from the UK, and from Egypt. We are actually an Irish company based in Dublin, and we have three operating companies in Egypt, in Saudi, and in the UAE. We raised our pre-Series A round of investment back in 2023. It was a 4.5 million pre-Series A. Now we are in the middle of a Series A round of investment of a 15 million USD, and we have already 8 million committed, and we want to close by Q3. Last but not least, I'm sharing with you three of our beloved testimonial. We have Omar. Omar started to launch his own e-commerce platform after learning software development at iSchool. He is selling more than 10,000 products every month. And we have Rahma. Rahma started to freelance at the age of 16 after learning UI and UX at iSchool, and now she's generating more than 600 USD as a revenue for herself, and this is more than her parents' income. And we have Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman got a fully funded scholarship to travel to Japan and study his bachelor degree in engineering after learning at iSchool. So this is the real impact of iSchool, and this is our mission, empowering today's generation to become tomorrow's technology leaders. Thank you.
I have one question. I think EdTech, right? You're EdTech. This is perfect. I love EdTech personally. So I'm a bit biased immediately. I love this, and I've got an 8-year-old, so it's like. But just from an unbiased perspective, why are you raising funds if you've already got all of these committed? You've obviously got a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
Why raise funds now? Why not use the money that you're actually generating in revenue?
Yeah, very good question. We are already in a profitable business since 2023. We are generating a good profit, and we are investing from our own P&L, but this will be not enough to scale. So all these numbers is less than 1% of the MENA region market. So you can imagine how fast can we go over.
Can you just help me understand why it's not enough to scale? What do you need? What do you need to scale? What's the massive cost here?
Yeah, we train through tutors. So we have to train a lot of tutors. We actually get software engineers because the market right now, worldwide, you want to teach AI. You need three things. You need a platform, you need a curriculum, and need teachers. There is not enough teachers in the world, and there is not enough teachers in AI. So what we built, we retrain software engineers to become the future teachers. So to do this, we have more than 7,100 right now certified teachers as software engineers. So we want to do more numbers to scale in other countries. So you have to hire people, you have to train people.
So the cost intensity is people, right?
Yeah,
because you're working
people,
with people.
And also technology to expand our scale. And because we deliver the training through live synchronized learning. So actually, I was just speaking in San Diego because we are doing the biggest live synchronized learning experience worldwide. We do 200,000 students live synchronized. It's not self-paced. So it's a huge thing. And you need to have the proper DevOps and infrastructure to operate this kind of business.
I don't think so.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the competitors that you mentioned in India and why it is that they can't build what you guys have built.
Yeah, very good question. Actually, the competitors are in India and in the US currently, and very small active in the EU. So in India, the companies that are focused on the B2C market, one-to-one only tutoring, and they are focused on Indian market and the US market. In the US, the companies that are in similar field, there was doing an offline hybrid campuses across the universities in the US, and actually this company got acquired for 200 million by Emirates. It's called ID Tech Campus, very famous. They love it actually. And the companies that are operating in the EU is called Code Ninja, which is offline brick and mortar franchise. They don't control quality and they can't scale. Don't talk about competitor, but these are the current state in the market. There is a huge companies in China, but only operate in China. So the market's still huge, and in terms of our region and territory, which is MENA region, there is no other competitors.
And what is your exit strategy in that circumstances?
Yeah, M&A will be very clear because we got an offer from an Indian EdTech company, which is very big. And we got an offer like last year from an UE big education company. But still we are holding and we are trying to scale because we already closed the mega deal with the government. We have contracted revenues, so we just want to scale more.
Sorry, where do you come from, if I may ask?
I'm from Egypt, Cairo.
Egypt, yeah. I will see you at the report soon, I guess.
Thank you.
I think in terms of, so you said 1% of the market in MENA, right? So,
Yeah.
but then how active, and you've got a lot of obviously partner or clients in this region.
Yeah.
How many clients do you have currently in Europe, US? Is
Yeah.
US also a
It's
target market?
80% MENA, 20% elsewhere. Mainly English-speaking countries, the UK, Ireland, Canada, US, because it's easier for us to penetrate.
And the European Union, have you been kind of approaching them as well, in the sense that obviously they're looking at a unified AI?
Yeah, we have been talking
Education.
with those different governments, but it will take time. In some governments, they want to move now, some governments slow. And actually, from our experience, it's easier to move with the Ministry of Communications than the Ministry of Education. They have tax money, they have telecom companies, and they have the mandate to upscale the youth or upscale students. So we work mainly with the Ministry of Communication rather than Education. Most of the time, the Ministry of Education, they demand more money. They move very slow. But the Ministry of Communication, actually, in most of the countries now, they have more power because they lead the e-government initiatives. So they have this kind of movements.
16 seconds if you have another question. But you're fine,
Could you come to my son's school and
Yeah, sure, I would love to. Actually,
Are you going to AI for good?
sorry?
Are you going to AI for good?
No, I would love to go. Yeah. Actually, all of our investors is our clients and started as a clients, then turned as an investors. Yeah. Thank you.
That's time. Thank you very much.
Right. You are a soldier operating in a 4 to 6 man squad. You are well outside the wire, outside of the protection of a forward operating base, a trench system, or a town. That means you're being targeted by a drone, and that means you're about to die. So what are your options? Well, you've got 3. You can scatter, so only one of you has to die. You can take cover, but that's damn hard to do in a field. Or you can fire back with one of those mythical counter-drone weapon systems that not a single soldier we've spoken to at the front line has seen. I'm Baldwin. I'm an infantry officer, and I've served 10 years in 2 militaries in Australia and the United Kingdom. The role of the infantry is to seek out the enemy and kill him in ground close combat. And up until this point in time in my career, I had the good graces of at least dying by rifle fire, but that's not the case anymore. Me and mine are being taken out by $30 flying toys. I bloody hate killer drones. Now, along with my co-founder, Xavier, he's a mechanical engineer from Northrop Grumman, one of the biggest defense companies in the world, working on missile detection. And Nishant Bakshi, a robotics engineer who worked for Ford and Rolls-Royce and has his master's in machine learning before it was cool. We are solving one very big problem, and that is this. Soldiers are dying because detection comes way too late. It's not that detection doesn't exist. It does not exist at the forward ed tactical level. Right now, we're 5 years into a war, and the primary method of drone detection on the battlefield today is the limits of human sight and sound. So up to the limits of what you can see and hear, you have about 100 meters of warning, which translates from a 120 kilometer per hour flying FPV kamikaze, 3 seconds. You've got 3 seconds. That is why 75% of soldiers killed in this war have been killed by drone strikes. We are a low-altitude air defense company, and our beachhead product is this. It is a multi-sensor drone detector. We have found a way to fuse data from thermal, optical, and radio frequency sensors with audio in the pipeline, fused by our edge machine learning to provide an accurate drone picture in a portable method for frontline soldiers, increasing your detection window from 3 seconds to 30 seconds at 1 kilometer. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but this is what 30 seconds buys you. From dropping to the ground and praying, it buys you time to deploy your counter-drone weapon systems if you've got them, to scatter, to find cover. It buys you the difference between life and death. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the low altitude gap. Everything above 1 kilometer is pretty well covered by multi-billion-dollar sensor systems and Patriot missiles. But at this 1 kilometer and below level, up until now, there hasn't been a focus on that because people are trying to defend towns and cities and high-value targets. And you've got a situation where $1.6 million missiles are taking out $30,000 Shaheds, and that is the gap that we are plugging. It is insanely scalable, and every country is turning their attention now to their air defense system. And this doesn't end when the war does. United Kingdom has made counter drones and air defense a homeland security problem that's not going away. And let's never mind the EU and the Middle East case. Do you think they want nuisance drones flying around Glastonbury? How about drones flying onto the top secret Harry Potter film set? How about dropping contraband into prisons or disrupting airfields? We are a dual-use company. Now, traction for us is a very different beast than traction for an AI or a SaaS startup with hardware. So we've validated through our frontline soldier interviews, we have our working prototype, and Major General Ben Kite, the former head of British military intelligence, believes in us so much that he's our official advisor. We have a crash test lined up with Ukraine later on this year, and the Ukrainian Navy wants to take 10 units for maritime testing as soon as we can build them. Here's what you need to know about our competitors. You've got the big guys up here. This is Anduril, Alpine Eagle. They are building really big, excellent systems that are designed for long-range detection. They are not portable, and they're not designed for the tactical edge. Down here, you've got handheld radio frequency devices, one for every soldier. They detect out to 300 meters. Most of them are being left behind because they don't work super well. And they do not detect fiber optic drones, the fastest growing drone threat on the battlefield. We are seeking $2 million to cover us for 18 months runway. That covers our first manufacturing run, and we are raising right now. So do check out that QR code. That's a direct line to me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. Thank you so much.
There was still 25 seconds to go, just to let you know. So that's 5 minutes over to you guys. And this is our last pitch of the day.
I think it's one of those sectors that I wish would have never seen so much interest in from VCs. But I'm happy that you're on stage, and I loved your energy, and obviously your passion that you have. I think I've spoken to various defense tech systems, obviously similar to the extent of defense and anti-drone and all of these things. There's a lot of players right now that are starting out. What's your main difference? What's your USP?
There's a few things, and so let's start with the time that we've taken. So as a defense and security consultant, one thing that was really obvious to me when I started looking at this problem about a year ago was that most people are designing components and platforms. Our customers don't want to buy components and platforms. They want to buy capabilities. They want to buy the end-to-end capabilities. So we've been building that from the outset. The second point of difference is that we've had a huge head start on building for the tactical edge. So a lot of these companies have quite rightly been focused on like massive area detection and effector systems. So that was one of the things that made me so mad, was that there wasn't anything protecting the soldier at the frontline level. And then I suppose the biggest thing is the fact that we are doing both the software and the hardware. So we've cracked the sensor fusion issue, but that is a huge problem. The fact that we've managed to get multiple sensors to fuse together, and the fact that we're sensor agnostic. Like, there's tons of great sensor startups out there, but a sensor exists to be defeated, which is why we were originally looking at novel ways to create sensors, but we nixed it immediately. The best way forward for us is to be able to take those sensors and integrate them into our fusion system.
I had a question about caravan and copper, where materials sourcing, and then I think about geographic distribution and threat and difficulties that are currently like.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Okay, so the first use of validating the manufacturing here in the UK, we've got a really good relationship at the moment with Luxembourg, who are currently manufacturing startup, as well as the Ukrainian assembly manufacturer as a market, but that's not sustainable long term. If anyone here is working in defense space, you have to own your supply chain, you have to own your manufacturing capability. So we're actually in conversations in Estonia and Latvia, which is where we're doing our manufacturing company, entering into a JV. We actually are going to be creating a 3 or 4 of those to set up an edge-level manufacturing relationship in Ukraine, so we iterate, get that out more. But long-term, it will be us owning out in the European cloud, either Estonia, Latvia, and Poland. Is the 3 places where we've done. And the combining sourcing, that's a huge problem in defense, because, for example, we can't buy stuff from China. So we're already looking at that, so that it's a very well-trimmed market now to source Ukraine instead of from, like, okay countries.
Well, like I said, mentioned you by the Trump. So our most already comes to produce with defense that come on with the motion.
Oh my god. Okay, so we are talking to one particular branch's rapid procurement cycle. MOD, what is MOD? Is the worst and slowest
and the West.
They're the worst and slowest of the NATO and the Western European ministries of defense, which is why we haven't bothered going straight to Ukraine through FuelQ and the Navy, our mentioned there. Then we're looking at Poland. We've got a relationship then starting to their pilot programs because they have faster procurement cycles. And we're looking at the Middle East as well. We've spoken to one major Emirati line using the 2 significant ones. Currently, we're plugging us into the low altitude land red and defense system. when the conversation was defined and showing their options and talking about something below Melchie Elephants, I'm so great at that conversation, but we're going for a rapid literal relationship with the attached there tree.
Yeah, for plants. That's the month of
The painter.
and your clashes and things. And around stuff goes along years like I'm all just sitting here, I'm not tempted. Good question, and take your on. So this is a defense called key, right?
Yes.
What about in some having to cast couple come on to one attack? Just
Okay, so what we've actually, I'm way back. So what we are doing is we're integrating short-range interceptors. We've designed our interceptors. So these are like little mini firework interceptors designed to take out drones on an autonomous basis when they hit like a point of no return for our settings on the front edge. But we're not a FDM portion company. There are plenty of companies out there do that really, really well. Our job is to be more around the defense. And that means what we're taking out is the things that are starting, not just your interface on loitering munitions, it's motor systems and UTLs, and it's the things that apply at the cylinders that we're destroying, and not the cylinders themselves. They're on the computer very well.
not possibly, but them on them like change converting on technology to attack technology that is developed.
And that's fantastic. But like I said, we're a defense company. Like the best what we would essentially be doing is cloning into an adverse layout, then is sending vectors to the other side, and that's the group like so
Thank you.
that is kind. Thank you very much.